Ultimate Online has recently had changes made to it, and people weren't really sure what happened. We now know exactly what happened, and we know that it's not enough. I'm gonna go through today both 1, what actually did change with the Ultimate patch, and 2, how we can actually, for real, not clickbait, fix Ultimate Online. Starting off is these tweets made by the guy that originally did the testing for Ultimate Online. This is what showed that Ultimate Online has 12 frames of delay. Now, in the recent patch, we have now confirmed that this is a translation. Smash Bros. SP 8.1 online delay verification results. This is a lot of text. You can read it now. I'll leave it up on the screen. But essentially, the online delay has been improved by about 1.1 frames. So from 12, it is now 11. But to note extra here is when there are spectators and this also counts for people that are just waiting in line but are shown the match too. So if you're doing a 3-man lobby, this applies. It adds almost an entire frame per spectator. But yeah, first, before there were tweets that the tick rate had been improved from 30 to 60 frames. However, that should technically only improve it by less than 1 frame. So there's probably been other corrections made. Yeah, theoretically it would only improve 0.5 frames. 4 people cooperated in this test and other people have done tests too. What that means, however, is that at a perfect connection, not an average connection, not your usual ultimate connection, not playing against a Wi-Fi Ganondorf, playing with 1 ping, 1 millisecond, you have 4 extra frames, right? I can pull up the calculator here. We can show. So there's 1 millisecond, right, of delay. And 1 frame is 16.666666 continuing milliseconds. So even if you have 1 millisecond of ping between me and another person, this will mean that you still have 66 millisecond delay when in theory you only needed to have 1 or 2 or 5. So you can kind of start to see that a 65 extra ping increase even in perfect conditions is pretty excessive. And now of course this has many problems for when you have even more delay, such as when you're playing against someone with Wi-Fi. Millisecond. Okay, right. So to start off with, to the people that have been saying that this now means that Ultimate Online is good, no, it is not good. It is not good. I'm gonna go through some of the problems Ultimate Online has, but to start off with, having 4 extra frames of delay added to any game is ridiculous. In any regular fighting game such as Grand Blue, I would never play a match with over 2 frame delay, or at most 3. And those are games with inherent lag of like 3, 4. Ultimate has more than double, of the native lag. So from 3 to 6. And then on top of that, it adds 4 extra frames. So yeah, it is like Ultimate Online is still insanely bad on the netcode wise. And let's go through some of the structure differences. First off, the spectator thing. It is absolutely ridiculous that having spectators adds lags. That is not the case for any other fighting game that I know of. You can have 10 spectators in Dragon Ball and it will feel exactly the same because you don't have to send everything in real time, right? Like you're just playing up the replay for them. They don't have to input anything, so it doesn't have to be perfectly synced. The problem with this is that it essentially ruins online tournaments. You know that every single time you have a spectator now, it adds 1 frame for every spectator, which is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, if you're hosting an online tournament, you're essentially saying that fuck the players, which is sad. Someone asked, is the reason why Japanese game developers have such bad netcode because direct connection works better in Japan because the country is small and has better internet? So this is a fundamental misunderstanding that is very often repeated, and I'm going to explain why it's wrong. So first off, Japanese people have their culture is to not openly complain about things. They will not openly whine about things, the same thing the West will. 2, it is not better in Japan. Sweden has essentially the same internet, if not better, I think. And I can tell you that playing Japanese games, such as Ultimate, such as Dragon Ball, that the netcode does not work well, even when you're playing people with 5 ping. Because of the inherent issues with delay netcode and such. 3, and here's the big thing. Japan doesn't really have a big PC gaming scene. It's never really had games with really good netcode since the 90s, like much of Europe has. Like CS, Dota, all these, you know, there's a lot of games going back 20, 30 years that have had good online netcodes for that long. They were huge. In Japan, the way most people game, especially before were arcades, right? And now it's more mobile gaming focused. PC gaming has gotten bigger now, but it's not big yet. And so they've never really grown up with the expectation of how online should be. So they never noticed the contrast between this big Western publicized game, like let's say League, let's say Valorant, let's say Overwatch. Well, Overwatch didn't have great netcode, but even then, all these games have had very, very playable experiences. They never really grew up with that to the same degree because PC gaming was so small. Because Nintendo Online was the only thing that was actually that big. But even then, most people do actually hate online. I remember when I almost beat Goichi at CEO, and Goichi tweeted like, "I can't believe he was that good with online." That implying, right, that online is not good. Because if he's Japanese, then shouldn't he say, "Wow, online really is good"? It is a very, very common misconception that the games function well in Japan. No, they don't. They might function better, but better does not mean equal well. Next up, we have other problems, such as taking extremely long time to rematch someone in arenas. The GSP system is just straight up incompetent for providing good matchmaking. You can't switch characters if you match up with someone in quick play. You can't select stages in quick play. You know, there's many, 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 many problems, but you probably all know this. So instead of cursing Nintendo and saying, "Why didn't you change more?" Let's move on to the second point, 1.5 point, which is they said in the patch, further improvements are planned to the online. Now, some people will look at this, and as stupid as they are, as naive as they are, they will be, that means we're getting more frames removed. That means it will be good soon because they said so. Nintendo also said that the online would be improved in the very first patch, the Piranha Plant patch that came out about a month after. This is now over a year since then, and it was only 1 frame difference, which moved it from 1 out of 10 on the online scale to 1.1 out of 10. It is still insanely bad netcode, and it will always and forever remain that way if you rely on Nintendo. Here's the thing though. We don't have to rely on Nintendo, and this is how you actually fix Ultimate Online. And this is not clickbait. This is not, I'm not trying to fool you guys. There is a way, and the way is through emulation. Yuzu has recently added multi-core support, and it basically means that the performance has gotten a lot better, that many, many more computers can now run Ultimate through emulation. I have tried this myself, and it's very, very promising. I wouldn't really say it is functional yet, but it has come a long way in a very short amount of time. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we can push this and make this actual good online a reality. First off, just having increased performance and more stable things will eventually happen, but the more people that work on it, the faster it will be. Yuzu is an open source emulator, so anyone that's nerdy enough and cares about Ultimate could help. This is what happened for Melee, where a lot of people came together and eventually we had this big, beautiful thing called Slippy Rollback, right? Now, rollback is not necessarily expected to be coming to Ultimate, but it's not impossible either. But short term, what we should expect is good delay-based netcode. Now, good delay-based netcode can be even better than regular fighting games such as Dragon Ball or Tekken. You can actually run Parsec. Parsec is essentially connecting directly to someone's computer with much more efficient netcode than any regular fighting game. I've tried this with other fighting games. It works very well. What you essentially do is that you connect a gamepad, and that gamepad sends inputs to my computer. Then my computer streams video over to his computers very, very quickly. Oh my God! And that then shows on his computer, and it feels much better. You can do this from one computer, or you can host a cloud server, which will mean that the delay is exactly the same for both. This is already available for Ultimate Online on the computer. This is already functional. It is not good, and I would hesitate to even call it better than the current online because of all the extra hoops you have to jump through. But this will actually improve for sure. Ultimates Online will never become good. This could actually become good. And I'm willing to test this with other people, of course, but it's just important to realize that like this is a massive thing that people should know about. And I know people have tried this and it's worked way better than regular online with the right settings. So if we can come together as a community and actually just start working on this, then we can actually solve Ultimates Online. It will never be easy, and it will still be extra steps to emulate the game versus just playing the game on, you know, your Switch, of course. But with this and with additional modifications, you could have a proper ranking system, proper lobbies. For example, with using this technique, you could, because you're essentially playing the game offline against someone, you're not restricted by the battle arena system, which is so bad. You can have actual spectators. You can, without adding extra lag, you can do first to fives where you skip over the loading times, like I usually do for Ultimate. You can do 2 people on one computer playing against 2 other people on their computer, 2v2, which you cannot do in Ultimate Online still. All these things are already possible to some degree, but need more fine-tuning. And I think if us as a community come together and start working on this, it will be done much quicker than you realize. And there's no better time to do it now than during quarantine, right? You can play World of Light 2-player. Yeah, that's true as well. You can play online squad strike. You can play Smashdown. All of these things are already possible. The main things think we need to work on is you need to add GameCube controller support. Right now, you can only use this through Pro controllers or PS4 or arcade sticks because of the limitations of the use emulator. This is something that could very easily be done through an open source thing. So that is definitely a huge next step that we as a community could help with. Secondly, the performance are pretty shitty right now. I haven't really tried on many setups, but good guides to set the emulator up to make everything run as smooth as possible. All this would help a ton, I'm sure. Just making this procedure more smooth and getting online things such as Anther's Ladder or sessions set up, having public discourse where you can find parsec matches or emulator matches. This could be the actual way to play Ultimate Online. And if this is actually done, I will gladly keep streaming Ultimate, because if I can actually play Ultimate as it feels offline, then it's, you know, why would I not? It's great content, and if it actually doesn't feel awful to play, then it might actually be entertaining. Yeah, you could also actually, Ultimate has 6 native frames of lag. 6? See? I can show it with my hands. 6, right? Let's say you play someone a country across, so maybe you have to add another frame, right? What emulation can often do is remove some of the initial frames that the emulator renders the game quicker than the Switch would, for example. So you could remove 2 of these frames. Now, you could play someone with 2 frames and it would still only be 6, right? So even though it will still only be delay-based netcode, it can still be extremely good delay-based netcode if we do this properly and if people work on it hard enough. So yeah, I really think this is the way moving forward. Let me know if you want more videos about this. And like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you I stream on Twitch. Goodbye. Also, use as a Patreon. Support them. Bye. The speed of the game is randomly speeding up and down. Okay, don't show. What? I was in it! You have to grab it?